Boom! Yes, folks, you me again. How are you? I want to talk in this video clip about the multiple choice diagnostic on my website. The multiple diagnostic, as the name suggests, is a multiple choice with the aim and objective of diagnosing exactly where you are, or in the case of a parent or guardian, where your child is, where this maths thing is concerned. So there are two groups of students that are in particular focus where this is concerned. Group 1 would be students in Form 3 and Form 4, most of whom would have some kind of multiple choice component in the end of term exams coming up at the end of June. So it is an opportunity for them to get in a little practice, see how they score, and then, yes, you have the opportunity to correct yourself and do some corrections. We come to that in a little bit. The other group of students that are aiming this at would be the private students, right? I'm putting something together for the private students starting in July. But all of this now is a lead up to that. So anybody who comes to me as a private student, no, because they want to do the exam next year, the first thing I tell them to do them 30 questions. In fact, I am not even going to engage in trying to recruit you as a student if you don't do it, right? Because I really want to see where you are. I want to see what you're doing in a 30 question multiple choice, right? It's 45 minutes allotted for the 30 questions. Are you going to take more than 45 minutes, right? And then whatever time you take, how much you actually score. Those are two important pieces of information. And in addition to how much you score, you want to find out which questions you get correct and which questions you get wrong. We have a system for that too. And you're getting back your scores immediately. So you don't have to worry about waiting for me to sit down and correct. Because I ain't have to sit down and correct nothing. Right? So let me explain the system. Now that we discussed the two groups of students that we aim in this thing at. So the system works as follows. You go to my website, www.humemaths.com. This is the actual website, right? This is the website with the actual page that pertains to the multiple choice diagnostic. So some of us might prefer to type humemaths.com/multiple-choice. Or in the case of others who they might be so comfortable with all of this, I set it up deliberately so that even if you type humemaths.com, here is where you'll end up. So in other words, if you just want to line on my website right now, you type humemaths.com, boom, multiple choice diagnostic. So in other words, I'm funneling people there as the first stop on the website if you type humemaths.com. No problem. If you type humemaths.com and you reach here and you want to go somewhere else, there are links on the website itself that will take you to other pages on the website. Right? Of course, that option is always available. You have the YouTube directory, you have past papers and solutions, you have links, you have important publications from CSEC, right? And then you have some of my own publications as well on another page. So we have other things on the website that you can check out. But the thing we're talking about is this, the multiple choice diagnostic. So the system works as follows. You go on the web page. You'll see some brief instructions there with 3 links to click. The first link will take you directly to the actual test itself, which you go and you see the questions and you do the questions. The second link will take you to the answer sheet. The answer sheet is on a Google form where you just fill in some basic information, your name, your email address. Right, there's a question too that we want to know if you're a private student or if you're somebody in school. Right? And then, of course, you go to the actual answer sheet itself, where you put in your answers A, B, C, D for 30 questions. When you finish and you submit, on my end, I will go in and I will see that this person submit. I will see a score, of course, immediately. That is the beauty of the technology. It reduces the correction time to 0, literally 0. Excuse me. I don't have to sit down and correct anything at all. Right? And then I just press a button, bram, and you will get an email. And in that email will be your actual score. And apart from your actual score, it will tell you which questions you got correct. It will tell you which questions you got wrong. And for the questions that you got wrong, they will tell you what the correct answer is. So in other words, you have all the information that you need to take corrective action as a result of the diagnostic. Right? And in addition to that information from the Google form itself, there's a third link on the web page that will take you to a YouTube playlist that I put together. I would have recorded those videos back in 2018. Right? I recorded myself explaining every one of those 30 questions in excruciating detail. I explained it from the perspective of paper 2. Right? If you're getting that same question in a paper 2 context where you didn't have 4 answers to choose from and you had to write out your working. And I explained it from the perspective of a paper 1, multiple choice, where you have 4 answers to choose from. Both of those formats would have its own twists and turns, so you need to get a sense of how to approach a question in a multiple choice, how to approach a question in a long paper. Playlist takes care of that. So in other words, you have the opportunity with this diagnostic to go through the entire process all on your own without need for the direct intervention of another human. Does that mean humans are not necessary in the process? No, it does not. Right? Because it is humans that developed the Google form. It is a human that actually showed me this Google form thing, and that same human actually did it for me. Right? Because, they just volunteer to do it, and once they do it, I am in a position now to use it. Right? A human actually record the playlist, that human being me, of course. And of course, a human would have actually designed the questions. So no, this is not one of those situations where we're advocating for the removal of humans from the learning process. Not by any means at all. However, what a lot of students do not understand is that, like any other subject, maths is a subject where, whether you're in an online class or you're in a face-to-face class, or if you're in no class, somebody might just be helping you, a friend or a neighbor or a spouse or relationship partner or a family member, whoever it is. You might have somebody helping you through a course. At some point or points in that process, there will be a moment or moments where you, as a student, will have to sit down on your own and engage with the work by yourself. Hot head, bounce head, you try a question and you get out. Sometimes, even if you decide to engage technology, you say, all right, I have a question here. I don't know what to do. Let me check Chat GPI. Start Chat GPT, sorry. Well, excuse me, it's after 4 in the morning. Right? You check Chat GPT. Okay, you check Chat GPT. But if you had to go through the question in a situation where you do not have access to any help at all, which is exactly where you would be in an exam, what do you do? So this little zone here with this multiple choice is a precursor to that entire process, right? You get in multiple choice, do it. I will have to send your scores for you. So that process definitely is not automated, right? It probably could be automated, but forget that, right? I will have to send these scores for you because it's not taking any time for me to do that. You get these scores, you have the opportunity to correct yourself. That is the interesting part. That is the part, more than any other part, where you start to put yourself in a zone where you could grow and improve. You get 18 out of 30, it means you get 12 questions wrong. Okay, maybe you might not want to go through all 30 videos on the playlist, even though I would highly recommend that. Even when you get the question correct, because some of the questions you may have guessed, some of the questions you might get the correct and it wasn't 100% sure. Watch the video. Even if you were sure, you must learn something, you must pick up something. But at the very least, if nothing else, you want to check out the questions that you did not get correct. That is the ultimate least that you owe to yourself. Whatever score you get, if you get 5 out of 30, it means you have 25 videos to watch. So that is what it is, that is what it is. No shame in the game. That is why we're here. We're here because we're trying to improve. We're here because there's a particular goal that we're trying to achieve. In this case, the goal is to pass the people maths. There are ways of doing that. This thing that I'm doing here is one way. It's part of a system that I'm putting together. And when you do the multiple choice, if you're interested now in joining my session, let me talk about the Form 3s and the Form 4s first. Right? I will be doing some work with you guys in the holiday period. July, August, I'm trying to do as much of it in July, hopefully all. I don't like to have classes in August. I don't like to have classes in August. So the idea is to do everything in July and give you the August away from me. You might be doing work in other subjects, but at least you wouldn't have me to worry about in August. It will also give me the opportunity to take a little rest. What, more? You feel I don't want to rest too? Right? And even in there, I would still have to be doing things to start preparing for September. Right? So you'll have the opportunity there. I will reach out to you. Once I see it, I will reach out to you. In the case of the adults, the private students, yeah, you might be willing to join a session. You might want to join a session. In fact, there are people coming to me right now indicating that they want to do maths as a private student. And I am saying to all those people, do the multiple choice. Do the multiple choice. And I'll go as far as to make that a necessary condition. Insist. I'm not having any thoughts of having you in my class if you can do a simple multiple choice question that I ask. Paper, sorry, that I ask you to do. Just do it, just do it. You might be afraid, you might want to do it, you might be sure. Just do it. One person who asked to do it within the last few days accused me of trying to embarrass him. I said, no, I'm not trying to embarrass him. I just want to see where you are. And wherever you are, you will take that as a springboard to start the process of getting into where you want to be. Another person who I asked to do it, she actually went and did it. And she do it and she get the score that she get. And she said, nah. The first thing she asked me, she said, you have any more? I said, I have plenty more that'll come from. Right? I have plenty more. She said, already I want to do more. She said, I'm thirsty. That is the word she used. She want to do more now. Now that she see the thing and she see the system, she want to do more. So I am hoping that for the private students in particular, that would be the effect. Right? You see how much you get. And most importantly, you see the possibility for improvement. In the multiple choice, first of all, because there is a specific system that we're setting up to deal specifically with the multiple choice paper one. But when you come in my class, you'll get them details. This is just an introduction. And of course, you want to take that vibe, you want to take that spirit, you want to take that mentality into your paper 2. And in the case of the private students, into your paper 3 as well. Right? Even if you're not in my class, right? Another friend of mine who, I put it up on my phone, WhatsApp status. She see it. She says she's going to send it to her students. Of course, by all means, send it to your students. I'm not trying to take nobody's students. So I'm looking for my own students. Right? So, as a teacher, forget the ego stupidness. Forget that nonsense. If you have students and they want to check my multiple choice, they could check it and they're still in your class. It will give you a lot of information about them that you know could use to work with them. I'm not trying to take nobody's students. I want my own students. Right? So, as a teacher too, it will be useful for your students. It will put you in a better position to serve and to service your students. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Right? This thing is for everybody. So if you're getting this message and you want to do it, do it. I encourage you strongly. Right? If you know somebody, it might be your own child, your friend might have a child, you might have a friend who doing the exam as a private student. Send it for them. Let them do it. And then we take it from there. All of the other attendant details will be discussed with the people who do it and show an interest in coming to my class. And then, of course, there are people who would do it and they're not necessarily interested in coming to my class. No problem. No problem at all. At the end of the day, everybody looking to pass the people maths. All right? So let's take care, keep good, and keep being committed to improving. That is what this is about.